Living with a mental illness means that you will lose some of your time to the illness, whether that be the maintenance appointments, a full-on hospitalization, or managed at home periods of sickness. Just like a physical illness, you will lose a portion of your capacity to the illness. Living with bipolar depression means that you will have to force yourself to go through the motions of your life, of a life. You will have to accept that even under the best control, you will have periods of depression and ups. And when you're in depression, insight is very useful. Because otherwise you start to extend this illness into conclusions. You start grappling for answers to a problem that isn't there. You start wondering if you're failing, if you've plateaued, if the things in your life no longer serve you or provide you pleasure, if you're just not doing enough, if you begin to think about big philosophical questions. And it's normal for us to search for a cause of a feeling. The clinical depression doesn't have a cause. It just is, and in that situation, it's important to recognize it for what it is so that you can do your best to do damage control, to not allow it to derail you, to not allow it to cause problems with your life by inferring that outside things are the reason for your unhappiness. Your mental illness is the reason for your unhappiness. Also to act as if, to the best of your ability, you were not having a depressive episode, to limit any loss of ground that you've achieved. You have to force yourself to go through the motions of life, of a good life, and continue to make good choices for yourself. The loss of energy is the worst. It is exceedingly hard to think of adding extras like socializing or going and doing activities that are just fun and all of these things when there is a viscosity to you, like syrup, thicker than syrup. It takes every ounce of energy you have to get up and keep yourself clean, keep your place clean, keep your bills paid, and go to your job. You're literally that exhausted and slow. But you have to do these things, or you will have real problems later to contend with for not attending to the bare minimums, despite the low energy. And you don't want to come out of a depression with a bunch of problems. On top of those bare minimums, anything extra that denotes happy, that you can do them. Even if you don't feel it. Even if you don't feel it. Opposite action that I talked about, employ it. To the best of your abilities, use the ounces of energy that you have. Dress up. Go sit at a coffee house and people watch. Put on a funny movie. Visit with someone if you have them to visit with. Chew up that time. And maybe even get some positives back from that time, depending on how deep your depression is. But when the depression is done, you'll look back and be glad that you did. Do the right things. Continue to take your medication. Turn on happy lights if you have them. Vitamins, all that stuff. And just accept that it's going to be challenging and exhausting, and it would be one way or another. However you approach it, you can make it more exhausting and more challenging for yourself by giving in. But don't push too hard. Realize that the symptoms of this illness are very real. The exhaustion that comes with this illness is very real. And the last thing you want to do when you are depressed and exhausted is push yourself too hard. In general, it's a bad idea to push yourself too hard. So if you are not in a good state, burdening yourself is not a good idea. But it's not good to let it all go, and it's not good to not engage in happy scenarios, not engage in life as much as you can muster. And just accept the fact that this is part of the illness. And you just have to wait. Until you're not sick anymore. So, go do something enjoyable. Even if you're not enjoying it. Bye, you guys. patience and insight are useful skills in life.